Shopify Masters is powered by Shopify, the easiest way to sell online, in person, and anywhere in between. To get an extended 30-day trial, visit shopify.com/masters.
Having some popular products sell out every now and then and people realize they're like, oh, I should have got that when I could.
Absolutely.
It creates a type of demand.
Hey, my name is Felix. I'm the host of Shopify Masters. Each week, we learn the keys to success from e-commerce experts and entrepreneurs like you. In this episode, you'll learn what is stopping power and why your brand needs it, how to constantly design apparel that will sell out, and how to use Facebook Live for your product launches. Today I'm joined by Marley and Latif from Spirit Hoods. Spirit Hoods is the original manufacturer of animal-inspired faux fur accessories for men, women, and children. It started in 2008 and based out of Los Angeles. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
what's up? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to have the both of you on. So tell us more about what is the most popular product that you guys sell in your store.
That's
well, we have anything pretty much gray wolf. If you're not familiar with Spirit Hoods, we are a faux fur clothing brand and accessories brand, and we sell, we're trying to position ourselves as like a healthy alternative to real fur. So we've got a home goods line, we've got a jacket line right now, and we've got, which is what we originally started with, what we call a Spirit Hood, which is basically a faux fur hat that comes down into scarves and has paws.
Yeah, and anything that is a gray wolf tends to sell pretty well.
Yep.
Got it. So you mentioned home goods now, and then the Spirit Hood, the jacket that you first started with. How many products or how many SKUs did you launch with?
Originally?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning it was like 10 products. They were all hoods. In the beginning, they were all hoods. We didn't know what we were doing, really, to be honest.
We went to a trade show, and somebody at the trade show was like, well, if you want to get into this trade show, you're going to need a line sheet. And so we Googled it. We're like, what's a line sheet?
Yeah. And we just kind of dove in, and it was super fun, super stressful at the same time. But the hoods were what we started with, and we had about 10 SKUs. And today we have maybe 45 SKUs.
At any given time, we've got like 40 to 50 SKUs, but we're constantly cycling in new products. A big part of our I would say our marketing success is like limited run collector edition items that are only around for a very short period of time. So we have a nice community of people that are actually trading and selling these things on the secondhand market, rare ones and things like that, which is one of our goals from the beginning.
Yeah, that kind of community is definitely important. So where did this idea first, before you guys went to this trade show and tried to bust into, where did that idea come from?
The idea originally came from, we were making them for Burning Man, actually, for years, for personal use. A friend of ours taught us how to sew by hand these kind of mutant, awesome monster faux fur hoods.
Yeah, there's like one of the original ones, like a goat with wonky ears and really funny looking. And so we used to use them for Burning Man and make them for Burning Man.
Thank you to Zoe if you're out there for teaching us the ins and outs of how to sew these original hoods. But and then so it was years that we did that. We kind of would make them for friends and family for different events and whatnot. And then one of our partners at the time, we would get excited and start wearing them out in kind of like everyday things instead of just like festival situations. And people would like freak out about them. And that happened enough times. And we were
like just walking down the street, a car would stop in the middle of traffic and be like, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
What is that? They were just freaking out.
It had stopping power, which we thought was one of the major things for a recipe for a product that would do well.
Yeah. And Marley and I were entrepreneurs before this. So we were kind of looking for something new to do, and this fell into our laps, and we were able to just take it.
And a shout out to our old partner, Alex Mendeluk, who is integral in the creation and bringing to life of Spirit Hoods.
Absolutely.
He's on to different business ventures now, but we were all in it together from the beginning.
Got it. So you guys were creating these for personal use. You were creating them for friends, and then you recognized that people were super interested in it because they're stopping you on the street and asking you, "What is that? Where did you get that? Or how can I buy this from you?" And so the next step was to begin the process of mass producing this. Like, what was the very next step in actually turning this into a business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we did is we went to the trade show with samples. We had 10, maybe 8 samples, and just something. We were talking about stopping power. I think for us and for me personally, when I look at brands or I look at things, I look at everything in terms of stopping power now. If you've got a product that has stopping power, that's I don't know, I don't want to say half the battle, but it's a huge aspect that can really, really help.
I think as a marketer, it makes your life easier because you already have something that can start the conversation.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it's easier to pull people in.
Yeah. And then
something.
you're just showing people the beauty of it, the magic of it, which is fun. So it's harder to push something that nobody is noticing, it's just harder. So, we went to the trade show, we had probably eight styles, and we didn't even have a manufacturer. And the trade show was a huge success. We must have done over $40,000 in orders, which for us was mind blowing because we didn't realize it was going to be that successful. And to date, our most successful show was the very first one we ever did, and we didn't know what we were doing in terms of manufacturing. We had to come down to LA. At least I did. I moved to LA pretty quickly in the beginning. Alexander was here in the beginning already, and we had to find a manufacturing house.
Yeah, we were like, it's cool, we'll figure it out. It'll be easy. We can figure that out. And that proved to be a pretty difficult thing. I think we went through maybe 2 manufacturers.
More than that. Yeah. Then nobody wanted to take the product. Nobody wanted to because the faux fur is slow. Like when you it's expensive and slow to sew faux fur. That's why nobody really does it in the U.S. And so it was a challenge. We got no's and no's and no's. We got price points that were astronomical. We were like, how is it going to cost?
Or we would get a yes, and then they would try to do it, and then they would give up.
Yeah. The first yes we got was horrific. The garments were just produced terribly. We had we had 100 of each SKU. And they started working on them, and we had to get them all redone by another manufacturer. So it took some time to find the right person, but you just keep looking and eventually you find somebody that's resonating.
Mm-hmm. So these days, what is the criteria, or what's the testing period that you go through to make sure that to find out if a manufacturer is a good fit, not just for you, but to your point, it also has to be a good fit for the manufacturer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, we've had this. We actually still use our old manufacturer, and we switched manufacturers maybe 3 years ago, but we had the same team. We kept our same team. So for us, if you can hang on to a good team, that's first and foremost the best thing you can do. So we've had the same guys for 8 years now. Same people working on our products.
Yeah.
In order to find a manufacturer, if you're going to be local,
it's a specialty thing. For us, for ours. I think if you're out there and you're making jeans, you're making T-shirts, it's not going to be as much of a hurdle as it is for us, which nobody was really doing what we were doing at the time.
So real quick, you mentioned that you switched manufacturers but kept the team. That's something that's normal in the industry where you can just move?
No, that's not normal. We just had this opportunity where our manufacturer gave us a really short window. She said, I'm done, I'm selling. She manufactured for multiple brands, 3, when we were one of them. And she was being bought by one of the larger manufacturers. And so we had the opportunity to take the best workers. She must have had 50 people, and we took 10 to 15 or something like that, I think. It was 15, I think. So we took our 15 best workers, and they wanted to come with us. They've been working on our products for years at that point. So that is not normal. That's definitely not normal. Usually you're not as integrated with your manufacturer. And I actually think that that's a con. I think that's a negative point. There's a lot of separation between the brand and the manufacturer. I think that's not a great thing, at least in apparel.
Could definitely lead to a little bit of disconnect with
You need to know how long it takes to do this. How many people are required for X amount? What does it become efficient? Does it become efficient at 3 people? Does it become efficient at 8 people? How does that work? What happens when you change out? Why does a manufacturer require larger units? A lot of people don't even understand that. The reason a lot of manufacturers are requiring larger units is because every time they have to, you have to change the machine. So if you have another order of something, you have a couple of different, things in the whip or styles that you're working on. Yeah, thank you. We got the fasting brain. So this all takes time. And if you want to build a proper relationship with your manufacturer where they're working for you, you're working for them, there's leniency, respect, camaraderie in the process, it helps to really understand the process, spend time with the manufacturer.
And I think an interesting point is like we've had a lot of, we've had good years, we've had big bad years, we've had, every kind of different thing happen underneath the sun. Every year you're trying to problem solve, but we became a pretty big fad very quickly based on the type of product that we had, and we got sucked up into pop culture. I mean,
it was instant. When he says sucked up into pop culture, we went from like decent size. Our first year was $1 million, and we skyrocketed.
Yeah. But we also had made our mistakes at those times. But our manufacturer at that time basically came up with us at the same time. Like our success was intrinsically linked to their success, and it changed our lives and the experience that we got, and I think it also changed their lives as well.
100%.
That was probably one of the most successful years they ever had as well, and one of the husband of the woman who was doing the manufacturing has like a huge Spirit Hoods tattoo like down the side of his body.
Oh yeah. So I mean, they love us, and that's something that's really important, because if your manufacturer is, it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a relationship that needs nurturing, and there's a lot of people that aren't as familiar with that, or they're afraid to jump in, or they just keep things separate because they got so many things to deal with that it's hard to really get to know that piece. But that's your backbone. If you don't get a delivery, if you have a wholesale order, or you have online sales for Black Friday or something like that, and you don't have a manufacturer that's willing to bend over backwards to make sure you're getting the product and grow with you, you're going to have problems. You cannot deliver. That is a problem. It will end your relationship with a big box retailer.
Yeah.
So
because you guys have this experience of building a team over the last 10 years, a manufacturing team, what are some of the most important attributes that you see today when you are looking to hire a member to the team?
So do you talking about to the manufacturing team or to our Spirited's family?
I guess specifically to the manufacturing team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for us, so we still have, it's not an internal team, it's a subcontracted team. So I think you need to have a good handle on, the questions to ask a manufacturer, the looking and being able to determine who are the other brands they're working for, right? Who else do you work for? Who are you currently working for? How do you operate your business? How do you do things? How do you bill? How do you,
And I would say from an operational standpoint to, test the waters first before you switch 100% of your manufacturing based on the dream, we can do this. Well, let's prove to each other that we can do this before we jump all the way.
And the other thing is, it's not about cheapest production. We never went for just the cheapest production. That's a recipe for disaster. I mean, there's a lot of illegal operations going on that are sometimes hard to identify, but you definitely need to check their business license, check and see that they have workman's comp. You need to get proof of those things, especially, at least for us, we're in apparel. I don't know about the rest of the industries out there, but I think it kind of crosses the spectrum. You want to check their stats and their, the business license and the dealings that are regulated like that, because that's really important. If you're going over to Asia, it's a completely different ballgame. Asia is that's something we're working on right now, and that's a big beast. It's hard to trust and be comfortable with an operation that's outside of the country. You just have so much less visibility, and you really, really requires a lot of trust. So that process is a bit more intensive.
That's where pre-existing relationships and connections come in handy instead of kind of like blindly looking somebody up and hoping for the best.
Yeah, it's good to have mentors or people that are in the same field, and they can point you to a manufacturer that they work with or they know. And it's all, as always, you need to go to the manufacturer. If it's in Asia, if it's in the US, if it's in the US, you're obviously going a lot. But if it's in Asia, you're going to go less, but you need to go there. You need to see the operation. You need to be hands-on. That's really, really important.
So early on, it sounds like you wanted to go through a lot of this verification. There's this level of verification you need to do yourself to make sure that they're running things the way that they're saying they are, that the way that you want them to run it, and also to test this by doing a smaller production run just to see if the samples come back the way you expect. These days, now that you're 10 years in, what are the challenges that you face today when it comes to manufacturing?
Yeah, and lastly, just on your last point, I just want to say visually inspect the place. Visually inspect. What does it look like in there? How do the workers look? How, does it look like people are being taken care of? Is it clean? These are big aspects about manufacturing. There's so many.
I think manufacturing is one of those things. It's a constant
fireball. It's a constant. It's
a very big job. It's very important, and there's always as good as you are and as well planned as you can be. There's always going to be mishaps.
There's always challenges. For us, moving to Asia is going to be, that's something we're in the middle of doing. That's a process. That's definitely requires a lot of hands-on work.
I would say that because we're such a seasonal item, and especially when the holidays roll around, we have this really big influx and need for product. And it can be hard sometimes to keep up with that demand, especially when you're working with, for most of the year, a much smaller team. So you have seasonal workers. I think that's one of the...
Yeah, that's super tough. That's always been tough for us. We have plans to round that out, but we're faux first. So for us, we're highly seasonal, and we do most of our business between September and February, March. So, rotating workers can be challenging. It's something that's really hard because you need people that understand how to make the products. And so what we do is we actually have workers. So because we don't pay pennies, we pay proper wages and then some, we tend to attract better workers. And that means less customer service headaches. But what happens is if you're bringing in new workers, they're making mistakes. And so what we try to do is we have a list of, workers that are able to come in during that seasonality, and they're familiar with the product. They worked for us in the past. They may not be our best workers because our best workers are there full time always, but these guys are very, very capable. And a lot of times it's just the fact that we don't have the ability to support them full time. So we bring on the seasonal aspect. But that's something that can be tricky to do because you have to scale up, and you have to scale up ahead of time. If you're producing garments, you're producing something, you need product in advance of the month or the season that you're going into. Otherwise, you run out of product. And though that's a great problem to have, to be selling a lot of product, when you can't keep up with demand, it really is challenging because you're spending time and energy on marketing the products and doing all these things, and you're not capitalizing and maximizing your revenue, which can be really frustrating. So on the flip side of that, you can make too much inventory, which is very dangerous. I mean, that'll put you out of business. You have too much inventory, your cash flow is tied up in raw materials and finished goods, and then all of a sudden you're into the season and you have too much, and you don't want to damage the brand by doing too heavy of discounts, right? Your brand has a reputation. So if you're putting things on sale all the time, that's a problem. So what do you do at that point?
That's oftentimes why people will get rid of their inventory to these like discount sites instead of selling them. Yeah. It's kind of like.
But if you're trying to keep a high brand equity, then for us, we have collector's edition and limited edition things. So we don't want to flood the market with items that didn't sell well. That's just not an option for us because it devalues all the other merchandise that we have. So, it's a balancing act. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So today, how do you try to obviously it's, I think, a work in progress, but how do you try to get the projections and inventory projections more accurate over time?
Yeah, so we're kind of a just-in-time manufacturer. So what we're doing is splitting production between Asia for our core items, so things that are consistent.
That's what we will be doing in the future for part of our manufacturing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing this year. So we'll have a steady supply of core products, right? And then we have our limited edition and collector edition items. Now we sell a lot of core stuff, and limited edition, collector edition items, those are limited runs, anywhere from under 50 to a few hundred or 300 to 500. It just depends on the run.
I think for the most part, you look at the data, you try to project, how are the months trending compared to last year? Are there certain products that are doing better? Are there certain categories, that are growing faster than other categories? And it's a calculated guessing game, and you try to get it as close as you possibly can. And sometimes you do a real good job, and other times you don't do as good a job.
It's just the nature of it. I think you can protect yourself from producing too much inventory by obviously looking at your last year's sale through, looking at your trajectory for the current year. If your sales are up, that's a great indicator that you're going to do well in the season that you're thriving in. And you never want to just shoot for the moon. You want to be consistently stepping it up. So small steps, just like stepping up, some stairs. You're not going to hop up to the top. You're not going to just all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're doing really great. You have spike in sales. You try to meet that demand, but it's better to take 80% of the growth that's happening than to try to hit 100% and then fall off to the other side of that spectrum where you're having too much inventory. So for us, we always keep a good amount of raw materials, and we don't overproduce in the finished goods. So sometimes that means that things go on back order.
And I think that, having some popular products sell out every now and then, and people realize, they're like, oh, I should have got that when I could. It creates a type of demand in the market, which is good. And we've definitely left some sales on the table in December before, because we've had such good Novembers where we couldn't actually get certain things that we wanted to get done in time for December. And sometimes that hurts, but it's also better than sitting on a ton of inventory that you can't sell as quickly.
Yeah, and we do operate a bit differently. We're a little bit more just in time. So our strategy is, we're not 6 months or a year out in production. We're a few months out. We're a quarter out. So that works really well for us. And we project, and we're constantly designing. We're not designing just 2 seasons a year, spring, summer, and fall, winter. For us, we're designing year round constantly. And because of that, we're able to front things into release blocks. So we might be doing something for spring, but we're coming across stuff that we love for fall, and we just bucket that into fall and work on it at the same time as spring. And so that's really helpful for us in terms of creating the products that are going to be released during a time period. And we're constantly doing that. So,
and especially being a fashion brand too, it's expected that you have new things to talk about, that you are innovating, that you're coming out with new designs and new combinations and things like that. Whereas another company or product, you might make a new product once a year to add to the 4 SKUs that you have if you're a technology product or something else such like that. A very different landscape.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you are a quarter out and not 6 months out. And I think this is different, right, than other apparel brands. How come you guys can do it and the other brands out there are not taking this approach?
Yeah, I think, do you want to?
I think I've seen a lot of different brands kind of go this direction. When we first launched, we were big into wholesale, and that was half the company's sales. Now we're primarily focused on direct to consumer, so we're not designing for selling at the trade shows anymore. We're going straight to the source. I think that's a big part of that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I also would say that even when we do wholesale, so we're launching wholesale towards the end of the year again. We used to do a significant wholesale business, and we're going to reopen that. And part of that is, the core product is gonna hold its own in terms of wholesale. So we'll still be continuously designing. We may need to bump up a few things, right? A few items for the spring summer buyers and the fall winter buyers. But we'll still, because of that direct to consumer, we're always going to be constantly pumping out product and new ideas on a regular basis. And that just works for us primarily because we're so DTC focused, as Marley said.
Yeah. And we, not all our SKUs are going to be open for wholesale. Like there's going to be a lot of, website exclusives and things like that.
Yeah. Wholesale is going to be, the top selling core product for the most part. And then we'll be mixing in different colorways and things like that. The wholesale in and of itself is a completely different business. It's a beast in its own right.
Right. So now, because you are going through so many designs throughout the year, how do you test? Like, what is the process behind coming up with a new design and actually making sure that the market will be interested in it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that as far as what we're doing currently, we've definitely taken ideas to market that we thought were going to do really well, haven't done well. And we've also been pleasantly surprised by things that we didn't necessarily think were going to do that well. It's interesting when you put out a new product because as a company, we've developed a certain customer base and they come to you for certain things. So if you stray too far from what you're doing, it doesn't resonate. And we've noticed that a few times. But I think that there's always a nice little, sometimes it takes years to actually educate your customer or build up. Like we did jackets 3 years ago, and we did, we had multiple jackets and nobody was really buying them, and then we started doing a little more, and we lowered the price a little bit. We also put ears on.
I think that's really important to know. You could start with a product, you release a product or a new product line. So for us, it was coats, and it doesn't do well. And you're looking at it and you're going, okay, we're selling some, but what are we just not able to do that? Is it just not something we're capable of? But if you spend a little bit more time on it, you look at it, you retool it, you redesign it, and we ended up putting ears on ours because all of our products are animal related. So, and at that point, we just saw unnoticeable spike in sales, and from that point on, we realized, okay, there's the missing link. We really need to draw it back to our brand, which is animal inspired. And without ears, at least at that point, when you're launching a new product, it's really got to stay within the framework of what your customers are expecting and what they know of you as a brand. And now, today, fast forward 3-4 years later, we have coats that don't have any hoods on them, at all. We have coats that have hoods and no ears, and we have coats obviously that have ears. So you can diversify that product line once you have established your brand as being, retailing that product.
Yeah, I think you can cater to the fan base and the customers that you've already created, and that makes it a lot easier to then branch out and maybe bring in a different type of customer as well.
And ask questions. We do surveys all the time. We're always engaging our audience. What do you guys want to see? We need names for this garment. What do you want to call it? We do tons of things, and people, because we're always reaching out and getting information from our customers, they're also always telling us what they want to see, what they need, what they would like, what they don't like. And then at the end of the day, you just got to try stuff. You've got to try things, and you also have to know that it's costly. Every time you launch a new product line, there's a lot of energy that goes into that.
And from a marketing perspective, this is not something that we've used yet, but if you are, it's almost like a Kickstarter for your Shopify website in a way. It's like if we sell 50 of these items, you put it on your product detail page, then if 50 of you sign up and buy this item, then we will produce it, which I think is a really interesting idea.
Sales.
Exactly. For somebody who's maybe starting and doesn't want to necessarily invest a ton of money into inventory, or doesn't have the money to invest or take that risk if they don't know whether that's going to sell immediately.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a really powerful tool. For us, we do, sometimes people will sign petitions. They'll have, we will require like 200 petitions for us to make something. So that happens. Also, we notice the back in stock notifications. We have that, which works really well. So if we have a certain volume of back in stock, notifications for signups, for a SKU, we'll reproduce it because we know that makes sense and we see the demand for it.
Right. So do you take approach of putting out designs early on, like on social media for people to see before you produce it? Do you take that approach as well, or do you launch with a product by the time a customer sees it?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes we do that for sure. Sometimes we do it, and other times we don't. Other times we definitely do not. It just sort of depends on the season and what's going on with us as a brand.
Yeah, I mean, we have low, like we were saying earlier, we have low run launches oftentimes, and so there is a elite group of kind of like diehard customers who really want to know before something's coming out, so they can be there right at 9:30 when it's launched, so they don't miss it if they want it. And so
and Marley's done a really good job of segmenting the email newsletters and segmenting the audience, which is really powerful as an arsenal in your marketing. Because some people want to know things and others don't. And you also don't want to, make people upset by when your product runs out too early. So you want to really inform your customers of what's going on, what you're releasing. But we don't always showcase the product beforehand. But I will say that when we do showcase the product beforehand, we do teasers, which we do a lot of teasers. We do that in the form of BTS, like behind the scenes footage. Sometimes we're just asking people what they prefer. Like, do you like this? What do you guys think about this? Should we make this? Even, anything that can kind of tease a little bit can definitely build momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of the behind the scene footage of the product being in your hands right away, or that's being worked on. I think that brings that connection with your community, and then of course also makes them excited for the product to come out. So the limited edition and collectors runs that you guys do, was this something that you always did from the beginning, or what made you decide to offer this in your store?
It is not something we did from the beginning. We had collections from the beginning, is what it felt like. We had collections,
and then we would do releases intermittently.
Yeah.
But we started to hone that a few years in. Again, as you're evolving and growing with your brand, you're starting to realize things that you want to do. We did always want, as a brand, to be.
We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it from the beginning, and we were not exactly sure how to put it into effect. And we just played with it and worked on it. And, we've seen a garment sell that was purchased for $129, retail for $2,500.
Sell, not retail.
Not retail. On the secondary market, sell for $2,500. So you want to, if that's something you're interested in, you want to position yourself. You want to, do things. You want to sell out. You want to create something that is very unique. And what we're working on now is even taking that to the next level. So you're always taking whatever it is that you're doing, or whatever core pillar of your brand that you have, you want to evolve that further, right? Yeah. That's how every artist in the world is living their life. So for us, we're actually working on even more unique collaborations.
Yeah, and like specialty. Like, how do we make it more special? Like,
exactly.
what if this next release is a collaboration with an artist, and what if it comes with something to inspire you to go outside? What if it comes with a high-end art print in the bottom of the box? What if the box is a custom wood, branded, engraved, specialty box that you want to keep around, you want to put stuff in, you never get rid of?
Yeah.
How do we take it to the next level?
Exactly. And also think of your customers as much as you can, because if you understand your customer and their wants and needs and desires, you can help build products that they are going to love. I mean, we love our customers, and we we really want them to be happy with the things we create. So we look at the things they love, and we also look at the things we love. You know, it's a collaboration between an audience and the creators, and it's a constant ebb and flow. You know, sometimes you're doing it right, and sometimes you're a little off, and that's just the nature of it.
So when you look at it like just straight numbers wise, these limited edition runs, like they, quote unquote, don't make sense. So what's the benefit of creating a limited edition run versus, focusing on these kind of broad appeal, I think what you call your core products?
So when you say it doesn't make sense, do you mean because of the amount of work and energy that goes into?
Yeah, I mean, when I say it don't make sense, I'm saying kind of tongue in cheek. It's like when you look at it just straight numbers wise, because it's a limited edition run, there's not that many products that you're selling versus like your core products, which I'm assuming has a bigger appeal in terms of more of your market might want them. What makes you decide to release these limited edition runs versus just focusing on how can you create products that will sell way more than the limited edition runs would sell?
There's many different answers and angles to look at that, because if you really look at the numbers, it does make sense depending on who you are and how you're running it.
I think one side of that feeds the other side.
Exactly.
Like you need them together.
Right. Like if you're always just selling something basic, and there's a lot of people that do this and they do it really well. For us, it's just not a strategy we took. For us, we wanted to have fun, and we love designing. We love creating. It's something that we're super passionate about. So, on one side of the spectrum, you have people are more driven towards core products. But on the other side, if you don't want to run sales, like let's say you don't want to do discounts. I've met people who get caught in the discount cycle. So the only way they can really generate sales is if they put their product on discount. Now that creates a certain type of brand, and that's fine. That brand works for some people. For us, we didn't want to do that. And the other opportunity we had was to create more product and more limited edition stuff and things that were unique collaborations, so on and so forth, and to really dig in and do releases and promote them instead of doing discount sales. So for us, that was the strategy we took.
I see what you're saying. I think the end goal is the same for both types of companies. It's to get that attention, get those sales. And in one case, people would do that by discounting, and that breaks someone's attention when they're looking through their emails. Like, oh, there's a discount. Let me go check out the site. In your case, you guys are doing releases, pulls people in. They might not even buy the limited edition version, but it breaks their attention. It brings them to the store, and they might buy even something different, like more of a core product, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
They might see that they missed, and there's a new blanket that they missed, and they like that. And there's a whole life cycle to the buying behavior of a customer. And if you're resting too much on things that have already been done, you're not gonna excite the people that have already seen that.
Yeah, this is not the first time I've heard this as well, where there is a company out there that has a flagship product or product that people really know or people really associate with them, that has a crazy colorway or crazy designs, but it's not their top selling product. It's just what brings people into the door in the first place and end up buying something else. So I definitely see where you're going with this. So you guys mentioned a couple of times now about how it's just so important to really understand your customers. What do you find that you guys are doing, and what do you recommend store owners do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that they are a true study of their customers?
One of the big things that we do is understanding customer service and the stories that come from our products. We love that. We love hearing the ways in which our product has helped somebody. Mm-hmm. And that just happens to be a part of our brand. But we get those stories, and we also ask people to give us information, surveys. We do contests and things. We do a lot to get information from our customers.
I think that also our brand is a very social brand. It's a conversation starter. You experience the world in a different way when you wear this product, because people interact with you differently. People ask you questions, they stare at you, they come up to you and they pet you. It's a massive conversation starter. And when the company first started, one of our other partners was more outgoing and would wear it all the time. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't necessarily want that attention right now. But then it became this thing where it was like, oh, okay, I'm changing my state when I wear this thing out. It's changing the way I also interact, my like thought process and the way, and that's, one of the crux of our marketing messages is there's a transformation that takes place when you put this thing on. And you can see it really clearly. And another thing is we're on the ground level too. It started because we were out and we were having fun. We were going to festivals, and before we knew how to market things to people, our marketing was just being ourselves and going to these festivals and wearing the thing that we love to wear, and even
just at parties in the streets and clubs and random things, and we were just out.
And that was our marketing, and people would ask us for cards. We would never push it on other people.
What's funny is we would always see a spike in sales for the next couple of days whenever we did that. So we would do it as often as we could because we knew it was helping the brand. So that's the exposure side. But you have to live it. If you want to understand the mind of your consumer, you have to live it. You have to live in it. You have to wear it out. You can't just design something and not explore it. You know what I mean?
And we're from, I don't know, first year we were having booths at festivals and having kind of like a hub to interact with people. And
just grassroots marketing was a big thing that we've always done. We do to this day. Right now, our team's at Lightning in a Bottle Festival, so it's a nonstop engagement with our fans and customers.
So within the community, I think there was mentioned before about how there's segmentation that goes on because there's your rabid fans and there's your customers that might not be buying every single item that you put out there. How do you recognize which one falls into which segment, like in the actual data and the tools that you're using?
I mean, half the time where you're looking at it based on response. We're also asking. We're like, hey, do you want to be on this? Do you want to be a part of this early release? Do you want to be a part of the secret sale? Do you want to? So we're asking.
Sign up for this if you want to be a part of this. And just based on our lifecycle email program has a lot of metrics that come in. Like if you've been to the website in the last 30 days, or if you've opened an email in this amount of time. So like what categories have you purchased through? So we try to keep it more focused because we don't want to annoy our customers, and we also don't want to wear our list out. I feel like your emails have become a little less like intimate as they used to. There's a lot of people. I get phishing emails from companies all the time that want to work with us from a marketing perspective because they somehow got my email somewhere and I've never met this person before. So we don't, it's definitely the landscape of email marketing is changing a bit. I don't think that we get the exact same response as we did 3 years ago when we used to send an email. And I think that's normal. The landscape of marketing is constantly changing. Like stories on Instagram weren't there 2 years ago, and now everybody's looking at stories. So you kind of, when you have a company and you're marketing your products or your services to someone, you definitely got to pay attention and figure out what is changing and what you need to do to, keep up with the times. Like Google's always changing their algorithms. Facebook's always changing their algorithms. Like
Instagram.
When we first started with Facebook, like that was our massive amount of our marketing, and we could send a post and we wouldn't have to pay for it and it would pretty much reach everybody. Now, if you don't pay for it, you reach like 2% of the people that follow you on Facebook. So yeah, you gotta be constantly.
And we know, which, the Facebook customers, the people who are on that channel, we're going to cater to that audience. Like we do live feeds for product releases on our Facebook channel, and we don't do that on Instagram. We do something a little bit different. We do more creative content, things like that. And we might post both of those in different ways on either channel, but we might do it at different times, and we might have a slightly different message or a slightly different thing that's going on per channel. Yeah. So you really just have to
I think that's important.
Do it, and
that's a very important point.
Yeah,
a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to post on Facebook, and my Facebook's going to go to my Instagram, and that's going to go to my Twitter, and it's all the same thing. You got to cater to
that doesn't work.
The individual channel.
Yeah, I think it comes across obvious too when that does happen, where it's just like reposting. But what you mentioned about these live feeds on Facebook for product releases, I like this approach. Talk to us a little more about this. Like, what happens during the live feed for a product release?
Yeah, so I mean, it's simple. So for us, we've been exploring that last couple of months, and we keep it simple. We basically engage with our audience. We talk to them about what's going on for the week, because we do releases on Tuesdays and Thursdays most weeks. Not every week, but a lot of times we're doing that. So on Tuesday and Thursday, we'll do a live feed and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. We've got this coming out. This is a little bit of information about the product. And then we'll also talk about other things going on. Hey, it's an opportunity for you to say, hey, we're doing a contest, or hey, we've got a blog post we just released, or hey, we're at Lightning in a Bottle. If you're going to this festival, come check us out. And also, here's some sneak peeks of some items that we're going to release in the next month or two. Check it out, and then engage them with something, because that audience is going to respond really well usually.
In the last time, from the video you did last week, we had suggestions for the name for the product, and we actually went to market with a name that was a suggestion from one of our customers.
Yeah, so like they named the product.
Yeah,
so
it's probably the most
fun.
direct way to communicate with your community so far, right? Doing these kind of live videos. What's the reach been for that compared to other platforms? Because I think you'll see people do something similar on like Instagram Live as well. Like, have you guys played around with different platforms? Like, have you been happy with the type of reach you've had into the community through Facebook Live videos?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what we've done is, again, you have these different channels, so you need to make people aware. So what we do is we let people know via email newsletters. We'll be releasing something or whatever's going on, and at the bottom you might see information that says, Spirited's TV is Tuesday, Thursdays, 9 a.m. or whatever it is, right? So you'll get a hit on one channel, you'll get a hit on another channel, and that sort of momentum builds. And then you over time, you start to see an increase in
your inconsistency. You are, you're showing people that they can count on the fact that that's going to happen. And the more people know when something's going to happen and that it's happening, that's when your users start to go up.
Got it. So keeping a schedule is important in this case.
It's really important. Yeah. If you start to deviate from that, then your customers are going to be confused and annoyed, I think. So, you need to be a rock for them. So, at least to the best of your ability. Obviously, we're not 100%, but I think that's a great resource for people, especially with how costly marketing has become. It's become really just expensive. So.
Got it. So I want to talk a little about the website. I think for anyone who wants to check it out, spiritedhoods.com. Was this the website designed in-house? Did you guys hire out for it? How was it done?
Yeah, Marley is extraordinary. That's all you.
So we've had a couple of starting places from pretty amazing theme designers that design these for everyone, nothing special. Like anybody can go out and buy this theme. But what we do afterwards is we customize ours quite a bit to get the level of the experience that we're looking for, to try to cut down the steps it takes to getting people where they need to go, and to organizing the information so that it makes sense and it doesn't confuse the user.
Which is harder than you think.
Yeah.
What are some examples of changes that you made to make that easier?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually launched a new website a month ago, and we've consistently launched new websites because we're trying to stay with the times and get the most modern functionality out of what we're trying to do in the user experience. One of the big things I think that is really helping customers get where they need to go faster is that we just installed a new theme. We customized it to get everything we wanted, but this theme had the ability to do drop-down menus in a big graphical way, which our theme prior to this did not have. So the ability to get people to go to women's jackets versus men's jackets versus home goods versus collector's edition hoods versus leggings versus sale page, and have them have all that information in a visually appealing way that makes a lot of sense,
and
right?
Easy, really easy to navigate. That's a huge thing,
because you don't want to wear out. If somebody's going to the spring collection and they're shopping for a female and she's shopping for herself, she doesn't want to see a whole bunch of pictures of men's items, even though that might be a spring item. So that's been a big help.
And Marley's done so many things that have helped us evolve. We have an international customer base, and so we have the ability to, change currencies, and there's so many little things that go into it. You want to pick the most important and prioritize what is the most important for making your customers happy and get to where they want to go and optimizing conversions and things like that. And then you've got a whole bunch of littler items that are also important that you want to be able to implement. So prioritizing things based off of what as again, you got to use the website, you got to use the product, you've got to experience it, see what's going on in order for you to understand the hiccups and hangups that people are experiencing that are your customers.
Yeah.
Got it. What about applications? Do you guys use any apps to help power the website?
Absolutely. Let's see, what's some of the best apps we're using right now? We are using FOMO for social recognition. So I actually found out about FOMO from a different Shopify blog through an interview you guys did with the brand Pura Vida. It's basically, showing all the different users. It's not giving away any personal information, but it's saying, so-and-so from Sarah from Connecticut just purchased this, or so-and-so from Germany just signed up for the newsletter. So it's just showing you people that are active on the site and the different steps that they're taking.
And I think it's possible to click on these notifications to go to a specific product page or something like that. Do you see a bump in conversions from it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it definitely leads to trust.
Yeah,
and we also have a lot of reviews. Using Yotpo for review system has worked really well for us, and
that's huge.
Yeah,
just showing it's more like for a brand to have somebody else say what you are seems to be more important than you telling somebody what you are.
It's more authentic. It feels more real.
In the people that they trust someone else, or they may trust a friend. Like if somebody buys a product and sends their review to their social page, that's huge for us because they're going to trust their friend more than they're going to trust us if we haven't met before. Another big app that's been doing really well for us is Attentive. So Attentive is like an SMS text campaign. And so we offer, discounts to first-time users through that. And the interaction that we're getting through all these opt-ins for the SMS campaigns is really quite amazing, considering that there's not that many people. So like you can send a newsletter to 60,000 people, and you might in the end get 600 people to the website. They might click on it, or 600 to 1,000, depending on how relevant it is. But if you send an SMS campaign to 3,000 people, you might get the same amount of people to your website because the interaction and the open rate is so much higher.
Got it. I think it's lots more engaging. So for anyone who wants to check it out, spirithoods.com again is the website. What do you guys have plans for the next year? What are some big goals that you guys want to hit?
Yeah, well, we definitely want to lock down our Asian production so we can better service our customers and not run out of product in November and December, which has happened to us a few times. We're also launching more home products. We're launching more expansive line of coats. Coming up with more accessories. We want to in the near future do dog stuff like dog throws and dog beds and
for rugs.
For rugs is a big one that we're going to do.
More pillow options. We're going to have bigger pillows, different sized pillows have been really good for us as well.
The leggings and the sort of jumpsuits that we do, we're going to expand into that more fully. We've got a decent selection right now, but we want to really double that.
And I think a point that we missed is that, and I don't think we addressed it in the beginning, is that, we are inspired by animals, and we design a lot of hoods and jackets and stuff that are based on the likeness of endangered animals. And we work with 5 nonprofits currently, and we do a lot of smaller projects with nonprofits as well to give back to endangered species and the nonprofits that are helping them. And so a big goal of ours this year too is to do more projects, and kind of like we always are doing more projects than even we are letting people know about. And I think that is maybe a lapse in our communication with our customers. We want to show people exactly what's going on with the animals and the projects we're working on.
It can be a hard story to tell too.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's excruciating, and we still want to get that information out in a digestible way and educate people. So
it's an interesting thing because, people want, we're a company and we are a company with a cause, and we try to really like activate with different communities and stuff like that. But sometimes when you send out too much messaging on endangered animals, the interaction rate goes down. So we're trying to really optimize and test ways to make it more fun to talk about things that are hard to talk about, because it's pretty sad what's happening in the natural world to a lot of these endangered species, and
there's also great beauty in understanding what's going on, because you can make a difference. Each person has the opportunity to be aware, and that in and of itself changes the planet and the lives of a lot of both humans and animals alike. So. That's really important for us in promoting awareness. And another thing is just having fun content creating. Sometimes you get so sucked into operating your business that you're stressed and you're doing things, and then you realize you've neglected one of the most important aspects of your brand. That kind of has happened to us. And really having fun with content creation, not being afraid to do things and put out content that's interesting, funny, or weird. Learn as you go. You're going to get a response, and there's no, there could be a wrong way to do that, but there's no, usually you're going to, if you have sound mind and you're testing things, that's perfect. And you might not get great responses from one thing, but you get great responses from another, and it just helps you curate your content and have fun doing it, not taking things personally, but just having fun.
Yep. Awesome. So again, spirithoods.com for anyone that wants to follow along with the cause or check out the store based on all the things that we've learned. I think there's lots of great things going on your store that the audience will check out. So again, thank you so much for your time, Marley and Lateef. I really appreciate you both coming on.
Thank you, Felix.
Thanks, Felix.
We appreciate it. Thank you for the great questions, for helping us to get our message out.
Here's a sneak peek for what's in store in the next Shopify Masters episode.
We probably get 25, 30 a day of positive, testimonials from people just arbitrarily sending this stuff to us.
Thanks for listening to Shopify Masters, the e-commerce marketing podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs. To start your store today, visit shopify.com/masters to claim your extended 30-day free trial. Also, for this episode's show notes, head over to shopify.com/blog.